Hello everyone, today I have a commentary for you about Peanuts. No, not the food, the cartoon. No, the other cartoon. There we go. The Peanuts gang. Oh, and actually I'm not gonna talk explicitly about the cartoon Peanuts so much as the live action Peanuts, so brace yourself for some knowledge. I remember as a child being brought up with the legacy of Peanuts. Sure, I'm a millennial, but my parents definitely were capable of providing good chunks of their upbringing onto me as well. I remember watching Peanuts on television and being so captivated in the comedy and musical mood of the story. And on the topic of nostalgia, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown reinvigorated my fondness for Peanuts even further, as the play is still performed and adapted today, and I've seen many renditions of it. For those of you unaware, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown was a Broadway musical first released in 1967, created by Clark Gesner, and it encapsulates all of the whimsical youth and purity that Peanuts has given us for decades, but puts it all in a family-friendly production that feels like a movie, sounds like a musical, and seems to be the lifelike imagination of what you would expect to conjure in your mind while reading a storybook. The musical is quite comical and keeps you entertained, and the whole thing is very reliant on the source material. Elements of the plot are drawn directly from episodes and compiled into the musical, like Charlie Brown's dislike for peanut butter sandwiches and his crush on the cute little red-headed girl. All of the classic story bits are there. Lucy's crush on Schroeder, Linus and his blanket. I suppose the musical wouldn't really need to take too many creative liberties because of the solid source material already there. But considering that the essence of Charlie Brown by nature was episodic in its distribution, it's quite marvelous that Clark Gesner, who wrote the musical, was able to mash all the best bits of Peanuts and create a musically flowing 2-hour performance. The whole thing is strung along nicely. Between the clever dialogue, the wonderful personification of adults portraying children, the musical numbers, it all just flows and comes together. All of the characters are priceless, but my two personal favorites have always been Charlie and Snoopy, with Lucy as a close third. All of the cast of Peanuts is memorable, but my aim is to touch mostly on the aforementioned characters, as I feel the musical is centrally focused on Charlie, Snoopy, and Lucy. So let's start with Snoopy. Classic Snoopy. Snoopy always seemed to be the class favorite of the TV show, and from my various viewings of the musical, if casted well, he seems to steal the show, and portray himself so admirably that you forget it's You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown you're watching, and not You're the Superstar Snoopy. Also, in the musical, Snoopy talks to us and breaks the fourth wall, and with Snoopy being able to talk and express his inner monologues only to us, adds so much to his character. His happy view of the world, his valiant fight against the Red Baron, his yearning need for supper and for it to be on time. To quote Snoopy, and to convey on how I felt about this character in the musical, not bad. Not bad at all. Snoopy's happy-go-lucky, can-dog attitude contrasts well with Lucy's optimistic pessimism. Lucy is actually quite prominent when it comes to titles she gives herself throughout the musical. She's a psychiatrist, a philosopher, a surveyor, a dreamer, a blanket thief, and a nightmare to athletes everywhere. But most of all, she's Charlie Brown's frenemy. She is certainly not always the kindest to poor Charlie, but it isn't quite fair to demonize her entirely, as she does have some redeeming elements regarding her relationship toward Charlie Brown. Sure, she pesters and taunts him, gives Linus a sermon on Charlie Brown's illustrious failure face, but I believe that really she's just trying to push him along. The best example I can think of to prove this is her psychological analysis of Charlie. Charlie rags on about all of his shortcomings and his feeling of innocuous existence or useless existence, but Lucy is the one to remind him that though he may feel this way, his trademark ability is his lack of abilities, and that is what makes him unique. Not to let superficial traits identify him. Yes, she also insults Charlie in claiming that not to be his friend and glorifying the other characters of the Peanuts gang and herself. But she also gives Charlie some solace and resolve about his life. She gives him pessimism and optimism. She herself is quite conflicted even in her own knowledge of the world, which is painfully obvious in the later song Little Known Facts. I believe all of these elements and characteristics add density to her character. She doesn't seem like a one-dimensional peanut in this musical. Lucy is shown as being quite human, imperfect in her knowledge, intolerant of Snoopy at times, sincere about Schroeder, bittersweet toward Charlie Brown, but all of these complex characteristics is what makes her relatable, interesting, and, well, Lucy. The charisma of the characters in this musical isn't the only thing that catches our eye. Lucy is clad in a brilliant blue dress, Snoopy is clad in white fur, and although Charlie Brown is clad in a yellow and black t-shirt, he is overcast with a monotone gray. By this I mean Charlie Brown seems to walk around with this imaginary rain cloud over his head. Charlie Brown is immediately relatable to anyone who suffers from depression, unrequited love, trouble with schoolwork, difficulty flying a kite, or really anyone just having a difficult time in this ever so uncertain and ironic world in which we live in. You immediately get a sense for the character and feel sorry for him even within the first bits of dialogue. Charlie is eating his peanut butter sandwich alone, making an offhanded remark about how psychiatrists that claim that people who eat peanut butter sandwiches are lonely. Also, Charlie has an unfortunate self-conflict about his crush on the red-headed girl. Everyone at some point has felt conflicted by a crush, in one's youth especially. It's nostalgic for anyone in the audience to see the ever-so-elusive cute crush, because we've all experienced and more likely will continue to experience crushing on people and unrequited love throughout our lives. Charlie Brown has constant tragic occurrences throughout the play: kite flying gone wrong, trouble communicating with Lucy or Sally or even himself, but there is something so remarkably powerful in the character with a chip on his shoulder. In children's stories especially, I think depressed or conflicted characters with dour outlooks on life is memorably interesting as you get older. I mean, ever find yourself considering how you're less like Tigger and more like Eeyore or Garfield or Charlie Brown? You see, Snoopy gives us happiness and laughs, Lucy gives us conflict and charisma, but Charlie Brown gives us depth and perspective. Sure, we get to see what the other characters are doing or feeling, but really there's only one character you feel for the most, and that's Charlie. We feel for him during his opening lunchtime narrative, his inability to fly a kite, his brilliant inner conflict about writing a book report on Peter Rabbit, and we really feel for him during the most beautifully bittersweet letter to his nameless pen pal about a baseball game gone wrong. The baseball game is the most suspenseful moment of the musical, and you really want to see Charlie and the Peanuts win the game. Charlie even gives himself a mental prompt to win on behalf of the red-headed girl, to prove himself and to prove to her his elaborate boast of skill, particularly winning the baseball game, and really to win it for her. That's a powerful affirmation. Unfortunately, Charlie Brown strikes out, and the game is lost. But hope is not. I believe the baseball game sets the stage for the reprise of hope in the final song sung by Charlie Brown about happiness. This musical review has been introspective for me, but I think I'm just going to pencil in this last part. By this, of course, I'm referring to when Charlie Brown finds a pencil his crush has dropped and Charlie realizes a common truth, that truly, it's the little things in life that can be and often are the most meaningful to us, especially on a day-to-day basis. Finding a trinket dropped from his beloved crush and discovering that she has a habit of pencil nibbling reminds Charlie about the essence of humanity, that the simplicity of what can bring us hope and happiness can be as simple as finding a pencil, or 2 kinds of ice cream, or 5 kinds of crayons. What You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown reminds us in wisdom and teaches us in spirit is that happiness truly is anyone and anything at all that's loved by you. So sure, Charlie Brown struck out in the game of baseball, but not in the game of life. Thanks for watching, and just remember, you're a good man, Charlie Brown.